So welcome back in the lecture of public finance. So in the second last chapter of public finance, we will discuss about the recommendations of 14th Finance Commission. Uh, the basic part of the Finance Commission, or what is the role of Finance Commission, we already discussed under the central sponsored scheme, under which we discussed that one way through which the funds that are being devolved to states is through Finance Commission, and the second way is through Ministry of Finance, or maybe we can say planning commissions. So these are the two ways through which funds are being devolved, either the grants in aids or the tax devolution. They are being done by union government to the state government, and finally the state government give funds to the implementing agency at the district level. So what is the rationale, what is the basic reason behind which the funds being devolved from union government to states and finally from states to the local bodies? The basic reason for this is known as principle of subsidiarity. The principle of subsidiarity, which says uh, what happens is, this is union government, and then there will be state government, and finally there will be the local bodies. So what exactly takes place is the union government collects the taxes, they take the decision whether we should give some grants to states for drought management or for flood management, and finally the states, they give some grants or funds to the local bodies. So the decision making is coming from union government, or this is known as the centralized approach, under which the decisions of the policy making will be done at the union level, but the implementing agency will be the local bodies. But the principle of subsidiarity, which is nothing but the decentralization approach, which says that the powers should be delegated from local bodies to states and from states to union government. It means whatever is possible to be implemented at local bodies should be implemented by local bodies, and what is not possible, for example, if you want to implement some program which should be uniform across the state, so all such programs should be implemented by the states. And suppose we have like defense, so across India the defense mechanism should be common, it should be same. So this defense should be delegated from states to union government. So this principle of subsidiarity says that the decision or the matters should be dissolved at the lowest possible level, because it is the local bodies which is close to the general public. The interface, the responsiveness of the local bodies is fastest because they are more close to people. So the principle of subsidiarity says that the matters should be solved or should be resolved at the lowest possible level, at the most decentralized level. And in this case, the most decentralized level is the local bodies. But in case of centralization, which says that union government having more resources, so they can take optimal utilization of whatever the resources available in India. So as per the centralization approach, the decision should be taken at the highest possible level, and that should be delegated from union government to state and finally to the local body. So these are two just opposite concepts. So this principle of subsidiarity is the basic reason behind this funds should be devolved, although it is just opposite, but at least because local bodies, these are the implementing agency, so finally funds should be available to the local bodies, and that too these funds should be untied funds, that we discussed, that funds which are given by finance commission, they are untied funds, in the last lecture we discussed, and funds which are coming through planning commission or ministry of finance, these are the tied funds. So on the basis of this principle of subsidiarity, the concept of finance commission came into picture, and we already discussed the articles which are related to finance commission. So what is the need of finance commission? The need of finance commission is, there is a vertical imbalance. Vertical imbalance means, if this is union government and this is, suppose we have 29 states, this is state 1, this is state 2, this is state 3, this is state 4, this is state 5. So we have 29 states, but the funds which are available with the states and funds which are available with the union government, they are different. For example, in case of union government, the tax levied by union government or collected by union government, these taxes are corporate income tax, personal income tax, custom, excise, service. All these funds, all these taxes They are going to the union government. But finally, because as we discussed, just like local bodies, so states are more responsible. Their functional responsibility is more in comparison to the union government. So funds should be devolved. Some funds should be devolved from union government to these states. This is known as vertical devolution of funds. Vertically, the funds are coming from union government to the states government, to the states or the state government. But we have different states also, just like there are a lot of historical reasons. For example, we can say Gujarat. So historically, Gujarat is a prospective state, and number of reasons are there, more close to sea and all. As well as there can be some geographical reasons, just like northeast, just like Chhattisgarh, Jharkhand, because of more maybe the geographical terrain is there, the forest area is there. So all this creates some hindrance in the development of any state. So because of all these reasons, the funds, the requirement of the funds between the states also is different. So if a state is less developed, that state needs less funds. But if a state is less developed, so the state needs more funds to be more developed, to become more developed. And if the state is already developed, so this state needs less funds. So this devolution of funds within the states, this is known as horizontal devolution. Just like in last lecture we discussed, there should be some principle which should govern that state 1 should get this much of fund, or we can say Maharashtra should get this much, UP should get this much, and Goa should get this much. It's not like Goa should also get 30,000 crore, UP should also get 30,000 crore, Maharashtra should also get 30,000 crore. So there should be some principle, and on the basis of that principle only the fund should be devolved. So the principle for horizontal devolution is different for different finance commission. So the latest finance commission, which is 14th finance commission, so the principle which was used by 14th finance commission for horizontal devolution we'll discuss in this portion. We already discussed that for population they gave 17.5%, then to demography 10%. We'll discuss what is the rationale of putting 10% to demography. Then to forest they gave 7.5%. Then to income distance they gave 50%, and then finally this is 25-35 to land or area they gave 15%. So this was the formula which was adopted by 14th finance commission. So this formula is different from 13th finance commission, and 13th finance commission formula was different from 12. But the thing is, there should be some formula, and on the basis of this formula only the funds should be devolved. So 14th finance commission recommendations, and who is the chairman of 14th finance commission? Y.V. Reddy. All these basic nitty-gritties will cover in the notes. So under the chairmanship of Y.V. Reddy, 14th finance commission gave recommendations, and they said 42%. We discussed that central pool of taxes. So that central pool of taxes, 42% of that central pool of taxes should be devolved from union government to the state government. So this 42% will be there, and then some grants in it also will be there, like local bodies for revenue deficit, disaster management. In detail we'll discuss later on. But 42% of the central pool of taxes, it should be devolved from union government to the state government. So these are the basic information. Who was the chairman of 14th finance commission, 42% or not? This question I think UPSC asked last year. The first statement was the funds devolved from union government to state government increased from 32% to 42% on the recommendations of 14th finance commission. And the second statement they gave, 14th finance commission gave sector specific grants. So we'll discuss that part here. And then the third option was both are correct or both are wrong. And in state pieces they asked simple question, who was the chairman of 14th finance commission, what will be the time frame of recommendation of 14th finance commission? This question they asked last year. So the time frame of 14th finance commission will be 2015 to 2020. It means 1st of April 2015 to 31st of March 2020. This will be the duration of 14th Finance Commission recommendations. Then what are the other functions? So first function, this is first function of the of any finance commission as per Article 280. First function is what should be the value of the vertical devolution and the principle which should govern this horizontal devolution. So this is the first constitutional function. There are three constitutional functions of finance commission. So first one is the horizontal and vertical devolution. So this one is finished. The second one is grants in aids. So what should the formula that should be adopted by any finance commission while giving these grants in aids? So earlier there were 5 types of grants which were given by finance commission, or at least till 13th finance commission there were 5 types of grants. First one, these are the 3 grants. First one to the local bodies. So these local bodies, such type of grants in aid, it was started by 10th finance commission. 10th finance commission onwards. In detail we'll discuss during this part. The second part is the revenue deficit. Suppose some states they are facing huge revenue deficit. That should be compensated by the finance commission or the union government. So finance commission gives recommendations. So this is also known as gap filling approach. Suppose some state is there, for example Jammu and Kashmir. So Jammu and Kashmir is facing a lot of problem, lot of geographical problem, lot of historical problems. So because of that, suppose Jammu and Kashmir state, no matter how hard Jammu and Kashmir is trying, but not able to create or not able to get enough taxes. And if Jammu and Kashmir is not able to get enough funds through taxes, but their expenditure is fixed, they have to do some expenditure for the welfare of the people of Jammu and Kashmir. So what is the option? The option is, as Union of India, it is the duty of the union government to provide some funds. So union government will give some funds to such states. 14 finance commissions are to 11 states. So this is known as gap filling approach. No matter how hard these states are trying, for example few northeast states are there, a lot of problems are there. So they are not able to get enough taxes, but their expenditure is fixed. So the option is, whatever this gap is, it should be filled by the grants which are given by union government on the recommendations of the finance commission. So that is why it is also known as the gap filling approach. So whatever the revenue deficit this state or these states are facing, they are somehow compensated by the finance commission. So this is what the revenue deficit grants is. In detail we'll discuss it. Then for disaster management, so suppose some states they are facing the disaster management, or suppose recently or the last to last year a major disaster came in Andhra Pradesh or maybe Tamil Nadu or maybe that tsunami of 2004. So during all such scenario the states they are getting some grants from the union government on the recommendations of again finance commission. Then we have the sector specific grants. Suppose in case of Bihar or West Bengal, I am giving you just an example, and they are facing some problem in case of education, or maybe in case of UP they are facing some problem because of education. So education, some sanitation problem is there, some health issues are there. So all these sector specific grants, they were also given by the finance commission. And then we have state specific. For example, northeastern states are there. So if I'm saying Arunachal Pradesh, so Arunachal Pradesh is a bordering state, we are having a lot of problem with China in respect of Arunachal Pradesh. So there should be more development of Arunachal Pradesh. The physical infrastructure, the road connectivity, etc. should be more. but the state government of Arunachal Pradesh, they don't have enough resources. So the solution is it should be compensated by the union government, and Finance Commission gave recommendations that this much, because this is the problem of Arunachal Pradesh. So I am giving, for example, 10,000 crore, 5,000 crore to the Arunachal Pradesh for the development of these areas. So this is sector specific grants and state specific grants. It was stopped by 14th Finance Commission. Earlier the precedence was the Finance Commission will give the recommendations related to grants in aid. Article is correct 275. So under Article 275, Finance Commission gave recommendations. Earlier it was related to 5 types of grants in aid, but 14th Finance Commission said, I have already given you 42%. The 13th Finance Commission said 32%. So 14th Finance Commission said, I increase the vertical devolution from 32% to 42%, which is huge. So these sector specific grants and state specific grants I am not recommending. Now because states are having more funds, earlier the states were having less funds. So because of that only it was being compensated by the Finance Commission. So all these sector specific, state specific and all. But 14th Finance Commission said, I already recommended 42% of the funds to the states, so which increase the fiscal space of the states. And when the fiscal space of the states is increasing, now the sector specific, state specific, it should be the responsibility of the state only. So this is what the second constitutional functions, and whatever grants in aid are there, they are charged on Consolidated Fund of India. So we discussed what is charge, we discussed appropriation bill is there, which includes demand for grants plus the charge expenditure. So there can only be discussion on this charge expenditure, there cannot be any voting. So this is what the grants in aid, they are charged on the Consolidated Fund of India. The third function or the third constitutional function is you have to give some recommendation. The Finance Commission should give some recommendation to augment the resources of Consolidated Fund of State, so that the states, they give more funds to the local bodies. So what actually happens is, just like we have Union Finance Commission, similarly we have a State Finance Commission. So this State Finance Commission gives some recommendations to the Finance Commission or the Union Finance Commission. And the function of State Finance Commission is how to augment or how to improve the resources of the states is the function of State Finance Commission. So the State Finance Commission give their recommendations to the Union Finance Commission. And why they gave recommendations? So as to augment the resources, how to improve the resources of the states so that they can give more and more funds to the local bodies. So the next or the third constitutional function, which was added after 73rd and 74th Amendment Act 1993. So after that, local bodies became a constitutional status in India. They got constitutional status in India. This third constitutional function was added under Union Finance Commission, and this function says that it should augment the resources of Consolidated Fund of State. This is not Consolidated Fund of India, it is Consolidated Fund of States. You have to augment the resources of Consolidated Fund of States so as to supplement the resources of the local bodies. This is what the third constitutional function of the Finance Commission. And the next function is whatever the president is saying, whatever president asks. For example, the president says you have to give recommendations on the GST bill. So 14th Finance Commission gave recommendation on the GST. These are the three constitutional functions, and the fourth one is whatever the president wants. Just like we have Article 143. So under Article 143, the president can ask for the recommendations of Supreme Court on any matter. So similarly, In this finance commission, the fourth function of finance commission is whatever is being asked by the president to improve the resources of the Union of India. So these are the four functions of the finance commission. Next, in the last lecture also we discussed there can be two types of question which can be asked from the finance commission. The first type of question can be how the 14th finance commission is different from earlier finance commission. It's like the recommendation of 14th finance commission, they are highly revolutionary. They increased from 32% to 42%. See the difference. 11th finance commission, 12th finance commission, 13th finance commission and 14th finance commission. So whatever that central pool of taxes that we discuss, what percentage of that central pool of taxes should be devolved? So as per 14th finance commission it is 42%. As per 13th finance commission it was 13th finance commission means 2010 to 15. It was 32%. Then 2005 to 10 it was 30.5%, and it was 2000 to 2005 it was 29%. See the gap. Earlier the difference or the increment was just 1.5%. Here also it is 1.5% and now it is 10%. So it is a major thing. It's a major shift in the cooperative fiscal federalism. Whatever the structure, how the funds are being devolved. So it is a major shift. That is why the recommendations of 14th Finance Commission becomes relevant from the perspective of exam, from our perspective. So if you are giving any subjective exam, any state PCS mains or UPSC mains or anywhere in interview, so such type of question is more relevant from a mains perspective. How 14th Finance Commission is different from the previous Finance Commission, or how the different approaches they were adopted by different Finance Commission. What was the major recommendation of 10th Finance Commission? The different phases of the Finance Commission. How the functioning of Finance Commission evolved. So such type of question is more relevant from the perspective of mains, and from the perspective of pre or from the perspective of some objective exams, SSC, state PCS, UPSC, RBI, this is more relevant, the recommendations of the 14th Finance Commission. So because it will be more factual, so these factual things are more relevant from objective exams, and this is more relevant from mains exam. So I'll give you a lot of notes related to this historical perspective because that is more relevant from mains exam. Anyways, we'll discuss it. So as per the historical perspective topic, the first one is the vertical distribution. The vertical distribution means this is union government and this is states. I'm writing states, it's not state. So how during different time, different approaches they were there. So earlier or before 11th Finance Commission till 10th Finance Commission, we discussed different articles are there. So we have two articles, article 270 and 272, which is repeal now. So what was earlier mentioned in 270 was income tax or personal income tax, and what was mentioned in 272 was excise duty. So earlier, as per article 270, union government was devolving some percentage of this PIT to the states, and as per article 272, what was mentioned in 272, that if parliament agrees, it was not mandatory for the union government to devolve this excise duty or whatever was mentioned in 272. It was only if the parliament agrees, then the parliament can share some of the resources or some of the part of this 272. So this as per 270 personal income tax, it was like different finance commissions gave different recommendation. So first to 9th Finance Commission, they increased the share of states in personal income tax. So suppose the first finance commission said 55% of this personal income tax should be given to the states. Second finance commission may increase to 57%. Third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, and ninth finance commission. Up to ninth finance commission, or the ninth finance commission said it should be 85%. So the body which was collecting the personal income tax was union government, but 85% of that collection, that was given to the states because it was the recommendation of the finance commission, and union government implemented the recommendations of the finance commission as per the constitution. So majority of the funds, not even majority, 85% of the funds which are being collected by union government under article 270 or the personal income tax, they were being given, or union government was forced to give 85% of these taxes to the states. So it is like a situation under which, suppose you are a person, you have to collect some tax, but majority of the funds that you are collecting, you have to share with your friend. Then what is going to happen? Because your own interest in this tax or in this pool is decreasing, and the interest of your friend is increasing, so your efficiency will decrease because you are not getting much. Every year, every 5 years, your own interest in this funds is decreasing and the share of your friend is increasing. So what practically takes place is the efficiency for collecting this tax will decrease, or your efficiency, or in this case the efficiency of the union government, it has decreased. So 10th finance commission said enough. They said the share of the states in this personal income tax, it should be decreased. So they make it 77.5%. So this was for the first time that any finance commission, they decreased the say or the share of the states in personal income tax. So 10th finance commission decreased the share of states under article 270 or under personal income tax. So this was for the first time, and the reason was, the reason given by finance commission, because the body who is collecting the tax, if its share decreases in this pool of taxes, so the efficiency of that particular institution will decrease. So this was the reason. And the second one is 272. So under that 272, again different scenario was there. First finance commission, second finance commission, third finance commission, fourth to sixth finance commission, different finance commission, they use different principle. Like this first finance commission said that 40% of only 3 commodities. Union government is collecting excise duty on the manufacturing of all these items. So whatever commodities that you are making, on these commodities, first finance commission said that only for these 3 commodities, 40% of the tax being collected or the excise duty collected by union government, 40% of only these 3 commodities will be shared with the states. Then the second finance commission increased it. They said 25%, but maybe of 10 commodities or 8 commodities. Then they said 20% of 40 commodities. Then 4 to 6 finance commission, they said maybe 20% of all the excise duty. Now that universal, that generic nature came into picture. From 4th finance commission, earlier it was only commodity specific, that only 3 commodities, 8 commodities, 10 commodities, 40 commodities, whatever different commodities were there. But from 4th finance commission to 6th only, because after 7th it increased to 35%, 40%. So from 4th finance commission it became generic. Generic means whatever the excise duty is being collected by the union government, full excise duty will be shared with the state. And it became applicable till only 10th finance commission, because after 10th finance commission or 11th finance commission onwards, we started a new central pool of taxes, and under the central pool of taxes we had PIT plus CIT plus service tax plus this excise, custom, whatever is mentioned in article 270. So this was the scenario, this was the second part of the vertical distribution. And then we have two more concepts. First one is buoyancy. So we already discussed what is the buoyancy of taxes. Buoyancy means if the increase in the national income or the GDP is by 1%, increase in tax collection should be more than 1%. So we have different taxes. The average tax buoyancy of India is roughly 1.25. This is what the overall buoyancy. Overall buoyancy means all the taxes that we have. Just like we have service tax, then we can have corporate income tax, then we have personal income tax, and then we have custom, excise, and all these things. So service tax is having the highest buoyancy, and that is 1.4. then we have 1.27, and then we have 1.24, and custom and excise, they both have less than 1 as the buoyancy. What it says, if it is less than 1, it means if increase in GDP is by 1%, increase in collection of custom and excise will be less than 1%. So it means these taxes are not good. But in this case, in case of service tax, if the increase in GDP is by 1%, increase in service tax collection will be by 1.4%. So these three taxes, they are known as buoyant taxes, and they are not known as the buoyant taxes. This is what the buoyancy is. So if I am saying the share of the states has increased, now because the taxes of the union government, they are more buoyant in comparison to the taxes of the state government. We discussed the taxes which are being levied by the state. So the first or the highest one is the sales tax. So we have different taxes which are being levied by the states, but the buoyancy of the taxes which are being levied by states is less in comparison to the buoyancy of the taxes which are being levied by the union government. So that is why we can have two types of approach. The first one is maybe the grants can be given by union government, or maybe the vertical devolution given by union government, which is 42%. So this 42% of what? This 42% of the tax collected by the union government. And if the taxes of the union government are buoyant, it means this value will increase year by year. So if the applicability of 14th Finance Commission is 2015 to 2020, so under these grants, for example, this Finance Commission gave these three types of grant. These local bodies, these grants are 2.87 lakh crores. So if union government has to give 2.87 lakh crore to the local bodies, but the problem is this value is fixed. This value is fixed for 2015. So this 2.87 lakh crore will be divided into these 5 years. So 2.87 lakh crore is fixed for these 5 years, no matter how much increase in the fiscal space of the union government. But in case of this vertical devolution, it is different. If the taxes are buoyant, so this value will increase. This value will increase. And when this value has increased, 42% of this value will increase. So the share of the states will increase. But in this case, 2.87 lakh crore is fixed. No matter how much increase in the tax revenue of the union government, the grants will be fixed, and that is 2.87 lakh crore. That is why even the less developed states, they are also demanding more tax devolution rather than these grants, because grants will be fixed for 5 years. But this vertical devolution, it will increase. If the share of union government, the tax collection of union government will increase, 42% of that thing will be increased, and more funds will go to the states. So this is what the buoyancy means. Next we have is the revenue foregone. So revenue foregone is a very interesting topic. You know, usually in the newspaper it comes that we should not, the so-called economists, they are saying there is a lot of subsidy which is getting wasted. 1.25 lakh crore is being wasted to implement that National Food Security Act, that to poor farmers we are giving this amount of subsidy, we should not give this 1.25 lakh crore to these farmers. Or the fertilizer subsidy is there, earlier we had that petroleum subsidy, diesel subsidy is there. So rather than finding an approach, rather than actually finding the needy ones, there was a generalization that 1.25 lakh crore is a huge amount and India is facing a lot of problem in fiscal deficit, revenue deficit and all this thing. So all these subsidy, it should be abolished because there is no need of any subsidy in India. We have, of course, we agree that there are farmers, but because of these deficits, the fiscal reputation of India, it is decreasing in the international economy. So we should remove all these things. This is the general mindset of newspaper wala and also the general public, the layman. But the actual thing is that is known as revenue foregone. Every year in the budget, the finance minister comes on the floor of the parliament and says this much is the revenue foregone of the union government. The revenue foregone means this much amount of money, or in the most critical words if I want to put, it says that ideally my tax collection should be this much, but I am not able to get this much of the revenue or the tax revenue for whatsoever reason. The reasons can be the inefficiency of the government, the reasons can be some tax incentive intentionally given by the government, the reasons can be to increase the FDI, reasons can be n. But the thing is, ultimately with the same perspective, if you want me to compare this revenue foregone with the same glasses of this subsidy, if you are saying that these subsidies are waste, you should not implement NFSA and all, I will say, where is your efficiency while collecting the taxes? The revenue foregone, you know the value of revenue foregone is? The value of revenue foregone is more than 5.5 lakh crores. So this is the 5.5 lakh crore. The tax being collected by union government is maybe 14 lakh crores, slightly more than 14 lakh crores, and the revenue foregone is 5.5. It means 35 to 40% of the taxes you are not able to collect, whatever the reason is. 5.5 lakh crore is one hand, and then on the second hand you are criticizing a subsidy of only 1.25 lakh crore. And on the what basis? The reason is they don't have the bargaining power, they are not united. Compare these 50% of the population which is dependent on agriculture with these big companies, the corporate houses. You know, the revenue foregone is like we have custom duty, then we have excise duty, then we have corporate income tax, then we have personal income tax. This is what the maximum revenue foregone is in custom. Second one is in excise, then we have PIT, then we have CIT. It's like 45% of the total revenue foregone is here. Then we have 10, 12%, 5, 7% here only. It's like roughly 30%. And the revenue foregone in case of service tax is less. The thing is, suppose, we discussed that up to 2.5 lakh crore, up to 2.5 lakh, it's not 2.5 lakh crore, up to 2.5 lakh, you don't have to pay any tax. Then after this 2.5 lakh, if you are investing up to 1.5 lakh in that specified list, again you don't have to pay any tax. So this is the revenue foregone. For example, we have a special economic zone, SEZ. So in this SEZ, if you are starting a business, you don't have to pay any tax maybe for 10 years. It is sector specific. But suppose you are starting a new greenfield airport. So in case of airport in tier 2 cities, you don't have to pay any tax for 10 years. So all this is the revenue foregone, which ideally should come to the government, but intentionally to promote all these sectors, the government is giving this tax relaxation. So all this is also known as revenue foregone. For example, we have custom duty. So if you are importing something, in the recent budget they said if you are importing few products related to power sector, if you want to make some power plant, and power plant needs some machinery, some capital, if you are importing these machineries, you don't have to pay any custom duty. So all these are the relaxation. Just like we have excise duty, if suppose you are manufacturing this thing, that thing, solar plants if you are making, so if you are manufacturing this solar cell, you don't have to pay any excise duty. All these are the subsidies or the tax relaxation given by the government just to promote all these sectors. But to whom you are giving these relaxations? You are giving these relaxations to the already wealthy people. Big firms are there, they are getting some relaxation from the government, and you are not even putting all these things. All these things, they never being discussed in the newspaper. The only thing that is being discussed is this 1.25 lakh crore, 1.25 lakh crore, 1.25 lakh. But from mains perspective, to make your answer more balanced, you have to mention this thing also. I'm not supporting it, there should be a blind subsidy to all the farmers, 1.25 lakh crore. No, I don't agree with this thing. But to make your answer more balanced, your approach should be like, you should also mention this thing, the revenue foregone. So the 14th Finance Commission gave all this picture, and the 14th Finance Commission said that you have to decrease your revenue foregone. That revenue foregone of the government, which is as high as 5.5 lakh crore, and in 2008, 2007, 2009, it was 50% of this total tax being collected. It was more than 7 or 8 lakh crores. So now the government is decreasing the revenue foregone and it is improving the efficiency. So this is what the revenue foregone concept is. Next we have is the horizontal devolution. So under this horizontal devolution, again we have 1st to 7th Finance Commission under one phase. We have different phases. First phase is there, then we have second phase is there, and the third phase is there. Majorly we divided this into 3 phases. So it is what, 1st to 7th Finance Commission, then we have 8th to 10th Finance Commission, and 11th onwards. 1st to 7th Finance Commission, they used separate formula. Separate formula means the formula to devolve Article 270 and the formula to devolve taxes under 272. They were separate. It means, for example, UP is there. So money which was being given by union government to the state of UP, for 270 there was a separate formula. For 272 there was a separate formula. From 8th to 10th Finance Commission, there was a common formula which is being used to devolve 270 as well as 272. It means for personal income tax as well as the excise duty. They clubbed this full thing. They clubbed the union government pool under one head, and then they used the same formula to devolve between state 1, state 2 and state 3. But under this there was a separate formula for state 1, for state 2, state 3, and similarly a separate formula for excise duty for state 1, state 2 and state 3. And from 11th Finance Commission onwards we discussed 270, 272, all these merged, and we created a central pool of taxes which was become 100% shareable. So this 11th Finance Commission onwards, it was a different approach. Similarly, up to 7th Finance Commission, there was this formula, and there was an overwhelmed weightage of the population. We discussed on the 14th Finance Commission gave a weightage of 17.5% to population. But 1st to 7th Finance Commission, they gave as high as 85 to 90% weightage to the population. It means to all other things, just like 14th Finance Commission, they gave income distance, they gave to area also. So the weightage of all other things was very less or minuscule, but the weightage of the population was very high. It was as high as 80 to 90% of that formula. So this was very much there from first Finance Commission to the 7th Finance Commission, and then 8th Finance Commission came, and the major thing was the 10th Finance Commission. So the 8th Finance Commission, suddenly they decreased the weightage of population. They decreased the weightage of population to 22.5%. That's it. Because they started a new concept, and that new concept is known as income distance. That income distance concept says, suppose this is what the average national income of India. If this is the national income of India, and we have n number of states, suppose this is state 1, this is state 2, and this is state 3. If suppose the national income of India, for example, the national income of India is 100, but the national income of state 1 is maybe 90, the national income of state 3 is 70, the national income of state 2 is 75. So the difference, the distance between national income of India or whatever the national representative national income and state 1 is less in comparison to the difference between national income of state 2 and this. Similarly, it is less in comparison to state 3. So ideally, if Finance Commission is recommending something, so not only population should be criteria, but this difference should be criteria. Population, of course, you have to give some weightage to population, just like 8th Finance Commission said 22.5%. But they started a new concept that is known as income distance. What they said, that S1 should get less funds. S1 should get less weightage while distributing the funds because the distance is less. S2 should get slightly more funds because the distance of S2 is more. S3 should get maximum funds because the distance which S3 has to travel, because at present suppose the income of S3 is 70. So to make this 70 or this per capita income from 70 to 100, S3 has to travel more distance. So S3 should be helped by the Finance Commission. So this is known as the income distance concept is. So as per this income distance concept, they decreased the weightage of population and they started the weightage of income distance. So the income distance formula or the concept of income distance that right now we had, it was started by 8th Finance Commission. And then 10th Finance Commission came. The 10th Finance Commission gave some recommendation which is related to these hardship areas. Hardship areas means there is a cost which is attached to delivery of the services. If the area is more, for example, UP is there. So the cost of delivery of services in UP is more in comparison to the cost of delivery of services in Goa, because Goa is more connected and UP is less connected. So they also, the 10th Finance Commission for the first time started giving weightage to the delivery of services, the cost which is associated with the delivery of services. Then the 11th Finance Commission onwards, they came up with some new concepts. So the 11th Finance Commission. Now the last topic before starting this 14th Finance Commission recommendation is the principle or the comparison of the principles used by 13th Finance Commission and 14th Finance Commission. So this 13th Finance Commission, it used some formula, population, the weightage to population, the weightage to area, the weightage to fiscal discipline, and the weightage to income distance. 35 and 47, 65. It's finished. Then the weightage given by 14th Finance Commission to population, it was 17.5%. But they came up with a new concept that is known as demography. You know, the population, the weightage to this population, the census which is being used to give or to find out or to calculate the value of population is a 1971 census. And why 1971 census? Because if you are not keeping the basis of finding this population as fixed, so it will be an incentive to the states. So if suppose we have UP, so UP will have incentive. At present also the population of UP is 20 crore, the fifth or the sixth independent country. If tomorrow the government of India decides that UP will be a separate country, so it will be the sixth largest or the fifth largest populating country of the world. So if there is some incentive to UP to increase the population, and that incentive will be this weightage. If the Finance Commission is giving 25% weightage to this population, so more population, more funds, so it will be an incentive. How to disincentivize this thing is make it fixed. Whatever your present population, I don't care, or the Finance Commission don't care, because the basis of the census is 1971 census. So whatever was the population of UP in 1971, on the basis of that population only, this 25% weightage is being given. But 14th Finance Commission said you accept it or you not accept it. But the thing is, the society is changing. There is a change in the population of, for example, Delhi due to migration. Suppose in 1971, the population of Delhi was maybe 30 lakhs. But now, because of migration, it's not a natural increase in the population which you are counting, because there is a natural increase in the population of West Bengal, natural increase in the population of Delhi also. But at present you are considering the natural increase, but there is a lot of migration which is coming from West Bengal, Odisha, any state to Delhi, that you are not counting. So this migration should be given any weightage. Or maybe the structure, there is some change in the age structure, because more youth will come to Delhi and more old people, they will reside in West Bengal, because the youth has been migrated from West Bengal to Delhi. So this change in the age structure, migration, all this should be considered. That is why they said there should be 10% weightage to this demography, and the census which you are using for this demography should be 2011 census. So this is the reason 14th Finance Commission for the first time gave a weightage of 10% to the demography, and the reason are twofold. First one is there is a migration which takes place, so this migration increases the population which is more than the natural increase in population, and the second one is there is a shift or there is a change in the age structure. So there will be more youth available in Delhi and more old age population will be in these outsourced migrating states. Then to area also they gave 15%. Then to fiscal discipline they didn't give anything. The fiscal discipline was, what was the revenue deficit of the state? It's like you are promoting the less developed state, but similarly you should not penalize the more developed state or the states which are performing well. If the revenue deficit of the state is good, so it should be incentivized. It means the state is doing good in the tax administration. So the 13th Finance Commission gave 17.5% weightage to the fiscal discipline. 14th Finance Commission didn't give any weightage to this fiscal discipline. And then to income distance they gave 50%. The total is 92.5%. The remaining 7.5% they gave to forest, because there is a cost associated with this forest. As per the sustainable development, it says that whatever the resources that you are consuming, you should optimally utilize these resources. It's not like you should not utilize the resources of the future generation. But if there are more forest in any state, there is an opportunity cost. if suppose this is any state and this is the forest area and this is the other developed, so-called developed, it's not developed, it's so-called developed, it's the developed area. So this developed area, suppose tomorrow why the forest cover of the states, they are decreasing, why we have a forest policy, why we can say on the one hand we say that Haryana is a very developed state, on the other hand the forest cover of Haryana is less than 2%, because there is an opportunity cost which is associated with this forest. If you will remove this forest, you can start the few industries, some urban localities, all this thing can be started only and only if this forest is removed. So if some states, they are maintaining the forest, it means there is some loss of finance, some loss of revenue to these states. So this loss should be compensated. So they said whatever the opportunity cost associated with these forests, it will be compensated. If any state is having more forest, they will get more weightage, but they put it a minimum thing is that every state will get at least 2%. It's not like, for example, the forest cover of Haryana is only 2%, so it's not like Haryana will get 0% here, because in few states the forest cover is as high as 60%, 70%. In northeastern states it's 60, 70, even 80%. So at least 2% each and every state will get. And this is what the reason of the putting forest, because there is an opportunity cost which is associated with this forest cover. So this is what the first part of the 14th Finance Commission. Under the second part of the 14th Finance Commission, which we will cover in the next lecture, under which we will cover the present recommendation, the recommendations of the 14th Finance Commission. This is more relevant from objective exam, and what we discuss, it is more relevant from the subjective exam. So thanks a lot.